Well, since you mention it, though, and what is the trend in malpractice in the United States over the past 20 years? Have the cases been escalating? Do we have a malpractice crisis?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I would say no, we don't have a malpractice crisis. There's, as I said before, inefficiencies in the system that are expensive. There's sometimes results, let's say 10 or 20% of the time, that are hard to justify. But of all the studies I've seen, doctors win the overwhelming majority of cases. Unlike any other defendant, certainly unlike lawyers and unlike corporations, doctors come into courtrooms with lots of goodwill in the jury, and I think that they win cases that they shouldn't win. There are statistics where they had doctors review the malpractice case and say, this is a very strong malpractice case, and doctors win almost 60% of those cases because of the goodwill that doctors bring into a courtroom and have with juries.
But of 100 cases that are initiated, how many are settled before they even go to court?
Yeah, it's not, the statistics aren't as clear on that, though there's a registry now, but the better cases probably oftentimes are settled. So, but still, the overwhelming majority of cases, not just tried, but the overwhelming majority of cases are knocked out. I can also tell you that, the people that do medical malpractice on a regular basis, they might take 1 out of 100 phone calls because they're expensive, they're hard fought, they're extremely well defended. As a generalization, the defense bar for doctors is very capable, and I'm not somebody, as you know, who thinks lawyers are all so great, but that bar, as a generalization, is excellent. They work very hard, they understand the science, they like doctors, and they're willing to actually go to trial and not just talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you. I've met many defense attorneys, and I found them to be excellent, and they know a lot about medicine, too.
Yeah, and they know a lot about jury trials, and they do a good job protecting the doctors, even at times when the doctors deserve to settle the case or lose.
You mentioned that there are cases where doctors have committed egregious errors. Do you have an example of any such case that you've been involved with where a doctor may have done something that was obviously not correct and got off?
Yeah, a lot of trial lawyers have that one case or that 5 cases where they say, well, what the hell happened here? What did the jury do? What were they thinking? I've got a story for you. I had a case where my client was sent home from the hospital after valve replacement. It turned out when you looked at the records later that there was a brewing infection, most likely. There was some indication that there was an infection starting. But it was Friday, they sent him home over the weekend. His wife called twice and said, he's getting sicker, what should we do? And the doctor didn't respond to it. And so when he came back into the hospital on Monday, they couldn't stop the infection, and he died, a painful death. And the doctor changed the records in his office that there were no calls made and testified initially that there were no calls made. We got the phone records and were able to prove that the calls were made to his office, and in fact they were told. But his record still had this lie in it. That's the only word you can use. And so I put the doctor on the stand, and after going through all of it, I said, and then you changed your records to say that he didn't call you, but he did. And he had to admit yes. I said, so you lied? And he said yes. And I said the question you're not supposed to ask, why did you lie? They tell you in law school, don't ever ask that question. I've asked it a lot. Many times it's gone extremely well, but this isn't that story. I said, why did you lie? And he said, well, people feel badly. I felt badly when my patient died. I said, that's why you lied. And he said, yes. And so like in My Cousin Vinny, I thought, I got no more questions for this bum. That was the end of it. And I thought, I'm going to win this case, and I'm going to win it fast, because there's nothing much to talk about here. He killed the guy and lied about it. And some plaintiffs' lawyers would say you need both. You need not only malpractice, you need to show the doctor's a bad guy to win a case. I'm not sure that's right, but that's a decent rule. So I thought they'd be back in a half hour. They were, but I thought I'd win, and in fact, I lost the case. And we got in the elevator afterwards, and I was stunned, furious, stunned, I don't know, both. And I ran into one of the jurors, gets on the elevator, a guy with a nice smile, and he smiled at me. And you're not supposed to talk to jurors. I don't want to say too much more about that afterwards, but I was so nonplussed by this that I leaned in close and said, what was that about? What did you do? And he just sort of smiled and said, people do feel badly. The doctor felt badly that the guy had died. And I still, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and think about, some things, what happened there. That's one, this is 25 years ago. I still can't get over that. I still can't explain it. And that's what happened. I mean, doctors really are, you know, if anybody else, if a lawyer said, yeah, I changed the records and I lied about it because I felt badly that I killed the guy, I mean, I don't know, he'd end up in jail or something, but the doctor just went home to, or went back to his practice.
That seems illogical, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it was a bad result, no doubt.
Yeah.